Hi, welcome everyone. I'm very happy to get this opportunity to give this presentation. My name is Max van Beek, and I work as a psychologist and researcher at Jellinek. And I'm very happy to present to you my presentation, which is called Helping Family Members Affected by Relative Substance Use or Gambling, an evaluation study of the five-step method delivered in the Netherlands. So let's get into it. This is a recording made for the AFINet conference. So in order to dive into the subject, I think it's important to first discuss the term affective family member. So an affective family member is someone who has to cope with a heavy substance user within the family or close social proximity. And according to global estimates, there are more than 300 affective family members worldwide. So this is quite a large number. And affective family members experience stress, strain, and other negative symptoms. And these experiences, these negative symptoms have been documented across different cultures. For example, they have been found in Turkey, Iceland, South Australia, and many other countries. So even though there's this large number of affected family members, unfortunately, there's only a limited number of evidence-based interventions available specifically designed for the affected family member group. And one of these interventions designed for the affected family member is called the five-step method, and this presentation is about the five-step method. So what is the five-step method? Well, the five-step method is a group therapy intervention and consisting of 5 group sessions, each of 2 hours. And in the first session, or the first step, participants or family members get the opportunity to tell about their story and listen to the story of others. In session 2, relevant information is provided to the family member and questions are being answered by the five-step practitioners. In session 3, various ways of coping with the heavy substance user are being discussed. In session 4, potential sources of social support are being explored of the affected family member. And lastly, at step 5, further help will be arranged for the affected family member if needed. For example, if a referral is needed to another mental health care organization, that will take place. So the objective of this study was to evaluate the routinely delivered five-step method in the Netherlands, which was implemented for the first time. And we did this by using the family member questionnaire, which will pop up in the screen on your right. And this is the questionnaire consisting of 33 items total, and it measures various subscales. For example, it measures total impact, it measures total symptoms, it measures 4 coping styles, and it measures the degree of experienced social support of the family member. And this questionnaire is being filled in by the affected family member, and he or she is writing about his or her experience. Well, or I would say, the main outcome of this questionnaire is the total family burden score, which I have highlighted in text. And this is actually a sum score, and it measures the degree of burden experienced by the family member. And it can be measured by summing up a number of subscales. In addition, the FMQ distinguishes 4 coping styles, which I think is worthwhile to point out because I will get back on that later on in this presentation. And these 4 coping styles are named engaged emotional coping, engaged assertive coping, tolerant inactive coping, and withdrawal coping. And I think which is interesting or should be mentioned is that the first 3 types of coping styles have been associated with more burden for the family member. In other words, the more they tend to exhibit this type of coping, the more burden the affected family member experiences. So the intervention would like to see those type of coping styles move down. In addition, we also made comparisons. We made a comparison between the face-to-face condition and the online condition. So about half of the participants received the group intervention online. Our research question was formulated as, to what extent does the 5-step method leads towards lower levels of family burden reported by affected family members? We collected measurements at baseline, end of treatments, and 3-month follow-up. So measurements of the family member questionnaire. And we had 145 baseline measurements, 102 end of treatment measurements, and 70 3-month follow-up measurements. So what were the results? Well, according to the results, mean scores of total family burden decreased by around 20% when comparing baseline measurements and end of treatment measurements. In addition, mean scores of total family burden decreased again by around 20% at the 3-month follow-up. In other words, it decreased again after the intervention was already formally finished. And lastly, participants following the intervention online performed equally well or better compared to the face-to-face conditions. So in other words, there was not found a decrease in intervention effect due to the online treatment setting. We have some more results. We also looked at the coping styles, and we found that the engaged emotional coping style and the engaged assertive coping style and also the tolerant and active coping style both decreased significantly in a degree that the participant exhibited these types of behaviors. And this is good because this suggests that the 5-step methods help family members learn new skills or new ways of coping with the heavy substance user within the family or within close social proximity. Here we have some quotes of the participants. I never regretted participating in this training. The stories of others, the tips, information, insights, I didn't want to miss it. And I can continue moving forward with this input for a long time. Thanks. No additional tips. I'm very grateful for the training, especially the feeling of connectiveness with other group members and the feeling of being able to finally speak freely. Okay, so we arrive at a discussion. And of course, this study also contains a number of limitations. And I have pointed out, I think, the most important two. So first of all, only a limited number of measurements was collected. We collected 145 baseline measurements. We collected 102 end of treatment measurements, and we collected 70 3-month follow-up measurements. So especially at 3-month follow-up, and we had a number of missings. However, when we look at the dropout statistics, or in other words, the people who did not finish the intervention, only 9 out of 145 did not complete the intervention. So what does it mean? This means that the number of missing measurements does not correspond with the number of people deciding to drop out. Instead, it suggests that these people did participate fully in intervention, but the measurements got lost within the data collection process. Also, we did an intention to treat analysis using last observation carried forward. And according to the imputed data set, there were still significant reductions when comparing baseline measurements and end of treatment measurements and comparing end of treatment measurements with 3-month follow-up. Also, the study was conducting during the COVID-19 lockdown. And this is important because the online condition setting was not set up intentionally. So this was actually a forced condition because a number of groups had to be held online. And because of this, there was no random allocation of treatment condition, which could lead to a number of biases. Also, the experienced family burden could differ. It could be different by affected family members because, for example, if you're locked up in your home and you have less contact with the family member who is a heavy substance user, you might have less symptoms because you're in less interaction with this person, or you might experience the degree of social support differently because you have less interaction with other people. So these are important things to mention in context of this study. Then we arrive at the discussion section, and we also made some recommendations. So first of all, we think that the 5-step method could be improved by finding new ways to increase social support. So the 5-step method is based on the stress strain information coping model, which sees social support as a major factor in helping to deal with the heavy substance user within the family. And unfortunately, the intervention did not. After the intervention was finished, we did not found any significant increases in informal social support when comparing baseline and end of treatment with treatment follow-up. So this suggests that perhaps by significantly increasing informal social support, the results might even be better. And also, the 5-step method has not yet, at least that I don't know of, has not yet been compared to other psychosocial interventions in a controlled randomized trial. So that means that the evidence is limited and we are not really sure about what works best for whom. Perhaps there is a number of a subpopulation of affected family members who react better or worse to certain types of intervention. We just don't know. In conclusion, the 5-step method was found to be a promising intervention for affected family members in the Netherlands. And participants following the intervention online reported changes which were equal or better compared to participants following the intervention face-to-face. We arrive at the end of my presentation. I really want to thank you for watching this video about my presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can email me. I put my email in the slides at max.van.beek@jellinek.nl. These were all the authors who contributed greatly to the study. Thank you also. And I also have some references in the back, which I will show shortly.